So, this is a video that was done a while ago where Andrew Wilson and Tomi Lahren appeared on Piers Morgan. And personally, I really like watching Andrew Wilson. I think his debates are really good. Um, Same with Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, some of the other conservative political podcasters. But this stream primarily is just to go over my thoughts on how Tomi Lahren presents herself in a debate talking about how she believes that men should be and just kind of dissecting the video. Again, this is just a trial stream, so if the audio doesn't work properly, then feel free to let me know in the chat. Because, yeah, this stream really is just an experiment. Let's get that really quick. So anyway, yeah, let's jump straight into the video. And also, if you're in the chat, feel free to say hello. Let's see here. Jump that to the right point.
All right, Piers. Well, I think, and I can't see you all, so forgive me if I'm incorrect here, but I think I'm the only female on this panel. Correct. So I'm really anxious to weigh in. Okay, so I think over the last probably 10 years, there has been what I call the pussification of men. It was everything should be about your emotions and your feelings, and men were emasculated, and this whole concept of toxic masculinity.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I mean, I think we've all seen that, especially ever since Me Too and all the other different feminist movements that came up. But anyways, let's get into it.
Masculinity warped the minds of a lot of young men, and they felt masculine, they wanted to be masculine, but society was telling them they should be softer, that it was being toxically masculine if you wanted to play sports and chop wood and go to war. And so
Wait, hold on. Since when has doing sports been non-masculine? Or since when is it considered just a masculine thing? A lot of people do sports. It doesn't matter if you're male or female, but whatever.
Men were so emasculated and so beat down that then there was this revolution of what was actually toxic masculinity, the Tate brothers and others, which I feel as a female that doesn't represent true masculinity. That to me represents douchebaggery. And as a woman, I want a strong man who is a protector and a provider that will go to war if need be, that will protect.
Okay, does her voice annoy anyone else? Okay, the thing is, it's like, when you ask a liberal generally what they mean by feminism, typically their definition is basically just women get to do whatever they want. They don't have to bring anything to the table and free abortions for everyone. But you actually see a lot of feminism on the conservative side too. And generally speaking, for them, it's like, okay, men are expected to do all these different things, A, B, C, and D, right? All these different duties. And yet, women, on the other hand, they'll be happy, I guess. But beyond just being happy, do they bring anything to the table? Well, a lot of the times, especially with women on the right, no, not necessarily. And so, even though in this last election we saw a really big gender war between men and women, I really think that there's a lot of covert feminists on the right as well. And Tomi Lahren, Candace Owens, some of the others as well that I can't remember off the top of my head. But you know what I mean.
Protect me, protect my family, make money. I see that as being actually masculine. That's like the man that I grew up with, my dad. But what we're seeing now is these young men who look at Andrew Tate and the Tate brothers, and they see somebody who's just quite frankly a douchebag and disrespects women. And because they've been so emasculated, they're like, oh, great, that's a manly man. But that's not right either. So at some point, I think we'll go back to maybe meeting in the middle here. You can be a man who has feelings and emotions, but you can also go to war and protect and defend your family. I'm hoping we can get back there. But the two extremes right now, they're confusing men, and quite frankly, they're leaving women with few choices. And that's the real tragedy here.
You see, I completely agree with you, but Andrew, you were saying...
And whose fault is that? Possibly feminism? Anyways.
Shaking your head quite vigorously. Why?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just more feminine or feminist nonsense, ultimately. And the covert feminism in society is big, especially on the conservative side. So here's what happens, right? Women need to have feminine virtues for men to be pursuing masculine virtues, for you to say things like, well, men, what I want is for men to protect me and I want men to make money. Well, that's great. What that ends up doing is it gives you a set of privilege in society. What do men get? What do men get for doing that for you? What are we getting from women for doing that? Are we getting chaste virgins on our wedding night? No, we're not getting chaste virgins on our.
You can also think feminism for that. Apparently, female empowerment is get as many bodies as possible and then get all the abortions that you could possibly want. So, killing babies and sleeping around with a bunch of people, yeah, that's literally the exact opposite of virtue. Anyways,
Wedding night. Are we getting women of great virtue? No, we're not getting women of great virtue. The idea of courtly love is supposed to be done for women of great virtue. Where are they? Well, they're nowhere. And so in modernity, in society, when female conservative influencers say this, it's actually a form of covert feminism. They're saying, I want privilege in society, right? But what is it women are giving to men to get it? What? What are they giving them? Tell me.
Well,
Can I please, Pierce, can I please chime in here?
Yes, you can. And then James can, and I'll come to you, Sean.
No, I would love to. I love this whole thing of like, if you're a female conservative and you don't believe that men should be douchebags, that all of a sudden you're a covert feminist. Call me a feminist. I really don't give one crap one way or another, but I can tell you this. A lot of these men, these podcast hosts on the right that like to think of themselves as these big masculine men, and what am I getting out of it? I can tell you this.
There's that feminism.
All right, I believe I'm a woman of virtue,
coming
right?
out.
Yeah, there's the feminism. Oh, and then you're interrupting me too,
Didn't
which
take
is great.
long,
I let
did
you
it? Didn't
talk.
take
It's my
long,
turn.
did it?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
well, it just gets really old. On some level, it's like you don't just expect that a relationship goes one way. And to think that that's the way that things work is honestly insane because on some level, there's some sort of a transaction. So it's like, okay, well, let's see here. I'll go to work, I'll take care, I'll provide, I'll defend, I'll do all these other things and whatever. But ultimately, what do the men get out of this arrangement and everything other than a girl that might be happy? Now, there might be the whole happy wife, happy life thing, but really, that's it. So if you're not going to work, you're not going to take care of the kids, you're not going to whatever, then really, what do you bring to the table? And I think that is a legitimate question. So.
All right, did you want to speak over me?
Yeah, I don't care if you call me. I don't really care if you call me a
strong,
feminist.
independent woman.
Yeah. Yeah. You're actually interrupting me. I didn't interrupt you when you were spewing your bullshit. So now it's my turn. Okay.
You mean the truth?
Like I said before. So I believe there we go again. Pierce, I'm a woman of virtue. I happen to be independently successful. I have a husband who's not only a former
Very annoying. I don't know about any virtues though.
professional athlete, but is currently a professional baseball coach. So is he not a masculine man? I mean, I'm confused here. What's your concept of a masculine man? Mine is a man who respects me.
Yeah, that misses the point, though. Like, you're still not contending with the argument that I'm
what's your
making.
point?
You're saying inside of society, right this second, right, masculinity is not only punished, but also women on the right, covert feminists on the right, are constantly and consistently talking about how they need to have privilege in society. I want men. Their version of masculinity is men who take care of us, men who protect us, men who do all of this. Those are all duties that men have towards women. Great. What are the duties that women have towards men? What are the duties that women have towards anything? What do men get out of this?
Right. And honestly, yeah, sure. So I'm not going to deny that a lot of the men, especially in Gen Z, my generation, are very weak, very pathetic, just like I said, weak individuals. They have no ability to stand up for themselves. They act all feminine. And especially the soy boys that go to the left, like the white dudes for Harris is the first thing that comes to mind. People like uh Parker, I forget his last name, the Parker Get a Job guy from TikTok, Dean Withers, Harry Sisson, all of them. It's like I've never seen so much estrogen in a man except for that group. And what was the last one? Uh, feel free to let me know in the chat, but it was something Maori. But the point is, it's like, yeah, sure. So a lot of men have become more feminine, they've become emasculated, and all these other things. But what caused this in the first place? Because prior to Me Too and all this other stuff, men were actually allowed to be men. Now all of a sudden, anything that's considered to be masculine is seen as toxic. We're treated like shit. And ultimately, I think feminism is more to blame than just weak men. Although there is blame on both sides of the aisle, Tomi Lahren just comes on to every podcast and blames men all the time. It's like, okay, well, talk to women. What can they do to fix shit too? Also, I see we got another person in the chat. What's up? How's it going?
This arrangement. What are we getting out of this arrangement? Can you tell me?
I mean,
Well, I
as I
would
was going to
argue
answer
that
a
men
second ago,
innately
Well,
should
I'll
be
tell you-
I don't want to
protectors and
interrupt you.
Hang on one
providers.
second. Let Tomi
Most men are
respond.
born that
Let
way.
Tomi respond to that, and then I'll come to you, Jez. Then
Yeah,
Sean, you've been waiting patiently. So
most men are born to be protectors and providers. I can't imagine my dad saying, you know what, to my mom, you know what, I'm not going to be a protector and a provider unless you do this. That's not how real men operate. Real men are protectors and providers, and they marry women who hopefully
great.
have
A
some
woman telling
virtue,
us what
but
real
also
men
bring a
are
lot to the
again. Great.
table as well, that are great mothers.
Okay, but what do you bring to the table? Because again, if men are expected to do everything, I mean, really, this has to cut both ways. Just sitting pretty, being happy, and reaping all of the benefits is getting really annoying. Now, the left pushes this as, again, like, sleep around with everyone, free abortions for everyone, blah, 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 and that's its own thing. But yeah, I mean, people like Tomi Lahren, Candace Owens especially, might need to pull up a couple videos on Candace Owens lately. She especially annoys me because it's like her level of condescending flair, even though she's on the right, really comes across as kind of like our version of an AOC or Kamala Harris. Yeah, it's just stupid.
Great wives, caretakers of the home. There's nothing wrong with being a
Great wives, you don't do shit. Sorry.
traditional wife and mother. You're misunderstanding me if you think that I think that women should just be out doing whatever they want. I think that
I
there
love
are
getting
gender
lectured by
roles that
women
should
on
be
what real men
respected.
are. That's
But I
great.
don't think a man needs to get something out of it to be a manly man, a protector, and a provider. If you think you
So
need to
nothing.
get
So
something
you
out
have-
of
Have you ever heard of a gold digger before? That term exists for the exact purpose of, because no one's arguing against the fact that if it's possible to live off a one salary household, then it is better to raise your kids yourself than to outsource it to other educational institutions and whatever. Yeah, that's fine. But what? Anyway.
it,
Nothing.
I quite frankly don't consider you a
nothing.
real man.
Yeah, she have
Okay.
nothing. She have nothing.
But we'll
No women
discuss
have
in a
no
moment
duties,
whether
nothing.
Andrew
They just
Wilson
get
is a real man.
Piers,
But
Piers,
let's
I
go.
offer nothing. I offer nothing.
You
didn't
offer me
offer a
a
single
lot of things,
argument.
Tommy.
Nothing.
That's why I.
Hey, quick question to the chat. Can you guys hear me okay? Like, this is just an experimental. Oh, hey. Oh, hey, what's up, Darth Autisticus? It's been a while. Long time. Can you hear me all right? Um, yeah, I agree. Well, finding people isn't an issue. It's just finding people that aren't radical left lunatics that becomes a little bit of a problem. But yeah, anyway, how's the volume? Um, I'm trying to relearn how to use OBS, so this sucks. But um, and sorry if my reaction content isn't great yet. Still trying to get this figured out. So hopefully for the first one, it's not terrible, but we'll see. We'll get better. Back in school, taking 18 credits, so um, trying to focus too heavily on content is a little rough at the moment. So I might just stick more to streams.
Always love having you on the show. You know that. Let's go to a real man, James Barr.
Thank you. I do see myself as a man, and I know that you were looking at
You do? Okay, this should be a good one.
me thinking, well, you're not. You're wearing makeup. You're wearing colourful clothes.
Oh, hold on. It's good. Do you also have a Twitch or some other social media platform? Well, I I mean, I made a new Discord, but otherwise, no, not really. I started a new channel, which is what this stream is for. I don't remember if I sent you the link or not. If I will, I'll check Instagram and send you the link if I didn't. But yeah, essentially, I'm starting to cover politics, culture, and TV and movies sometimes. But like Star Wars just isn't really my thing anymore. It's become DEI garbage. Uh, Game of Thrones kind of the same thing, especially with the most recent House of the Dragon and all that. Um, yeah, just not as into the recent movies and TV lately. So I decided to start covering more cultural stuff.
clothes, like, look at me, I'm really camp, my nails are
Yeah, I
painted.
mean, they are worrying signs, I
You're
agree.
sat there smoking a cigarette. I'd love to get a vape out and start drinking a beer, pints with the lads, just connect with you over that. I think that you have some insane opinions on what women are meant to do for you. It's crazy that you don't appreciate that a woman actually gave birth to you. Like, she gave you a womb for 9 months and then looked after you, I would hope, for the beginning of your life. And you're sat there going,
So where in the hell did not being thankful to be alive come from? The whole purpose of this whole thing is accepting the fact that everyone has their own responsibilities, especially when it comes to relationships and stuff. When did Andrew Wilson or any of the people on the panel, or really anyone, ever mention the fact that they aren't thankful for their mother giving birth to them? That has nothing to do with anything. It's just some soy boy in the middle just going off, I guess.
what do women owe men? Women don't owe men anything. No one owes.
Okay, then let's all just stay single. I guess that's a way to go, I guess. I mean, obviously he doesn't get any, but anyway.
You anything. You have your own
Okay,
life.
do you understand that if you make an argument and you say that
I
women are
watched
supposed
your
to be
seminar on how to win an
in a
argument.
position, if the women are supposed to be in a position of privilege where men do A, B, C, and D for them, and then I ask, well, what duties do women have? And you say, well, nothing.
No one said
right?
that
And then you
men
wonder,
need-
why are men
personally,
checking
I don't-
out? I don't know why men are checking out. I don't get it.
You just
That's
suck so
silly, man.
funny.
All right,
That's
let me bring
a
in.
silly argument.
All right, let me bring in the one person who so far hasn't said a word about this. Has a lot of interesting things to say. Sean, welcome to Uncensored. I mean, I think one of the key things of this.
All right, Darth Autisticus, the one person in the chat. Why are men checking out of relationships at the moment? If it could be summarized in like one sentence. And while he's typing, we'll get back to the video.
This series has made it so popular is that anyone who's had young sons knows that they are, if you're not careful, they get exposed to a lot of nasty stuff on the internet. We all know this. And a lot of it is this kind of incel stuff, which I think can be a really malevolent influence on impressionable young men. And they gravitate to it. And I think that partly what Andrew's getting at, I agree with, in the sense that following the Me Too Time's Up campaigns, which were in many ways, extremely laudable, brought down a lot of very bad men, no question of that. But they also, the pendulum swung so wildly that I think a lot of young men in particular felt completely disenfranchised from society, felt like they're all being treated like a bunch of young Harvey Weinsteins, unless they could prove otherwise. They didn't really know what the rules of engagement were with women.
Yeah, pretty much. Also, it used to be that, at least in America, you were supposedly innocent until proven guilty and everything, but now all of a sudden, any form of masculinity. Honestly, this goes way beyond just the whole feminism thing. Anything that another person doesn't like is considered hate speech. So we have the speech police and all that. Um, yeah, so the thing is, even in colleges and everything, you have no ability to really present as a masculine person anymore without being completely trashed by all your peers and everything. The weirdest part, though, is you have all these women running around, and yeah, sure, you have the Tomi Lahren people on the right who are always saying that men are weak, men are this, men are that, and fair enough. Like at this point, yeah, a lot of men in Gen Z are, but at the same time, you have all these women on the left that are running around and saying that anything masculine is toxic. Well, how are you supposed to reconcile with that? Because I find it really hard to believe that the people like, say, Harry Sisson or Dean Withers or Parker, I forget his last name, or Christian Maori, I think the other guy is, like all the dorks on the left that run around and saying women's rights and women's this and women's that. Like people that are so feminine that are men, there's no way even the liberals on the left actually find that attractive. They might find the ideology attractive, but the actual people that that ideology attracts are so weak in themselves. It's like there's no way.
With teenage girls anymore, whatever. They lost their way. And by losing their way, they gravitated, I think, to people, to very loud voices on the internet like Andrew Tate, who I think, like I say, he says a lot of stuff I find myself nodding to, and then he'll say this misogynist stuff, which I just despise it. I see no reason why you should ever want to have a relationship with a woman the way that Andrew Tate wants you to, where it's just pure misogyny. But what?
Well, the types of relationships that Andrew Tate has with people, he makes it very abundantly clear that he's not actually looking for relationships or anything, just to impregnate a bunch of women and then flee the country and go into a different country so that he's not bound by the same laws of providing child support. So, generally speaking, the people who follow Andrew Tate, for the most part, don't, well, actually, not even for the most part, pretty much all of them don't actually have the financial ability to have that type of lifestyle. But also, no matter how extreme people like Andrew Tate go, now I disagree with his teachings on the Quran and everything, especially because, like, personally, I view the Bible as more accurate in terms of morality. Um, the way he preaches, I think a lot of men just find it refreshing that there's not some soy boy like Dean Withers or Harry Sisson running around. And so they naturally gravitate towards people like Andrew Tate. Now, personally, which is why I appreciate that Andrew Wilson is on this panel, he's someone that I think is definitely worth listening to. His channel being The Crucible. And he also shows up on the Whatever podcast, completely destroys a lot of the idiots on the Whatever podcast. All right, let's check the chat real quick. Sorry, I was in the middle of something. I would say the main reason men sometimes check out of relationships is because they don't care much about the relationship and want to do their own thing. Okay, yeah, fair enough. They don't think the relationship is worth it. Yeah, and how is it supposed to be worth it if the man does everything and women bring absolutely nothing to the table? I mean, I'm sorry. On some level, transactional relationships, even if it's in form of action, not actual monetary cost, it's not like you enter a transaction and expect nothing in return, unless you're a parent. And then it's like, okay, fair enough, if your child is dependent on you, but this isn't the case of a parent and a child. This is you're supposedly entering a mutual agreement to be in a relationship, and one person does everything the other doesn't. What's the point? Just going off the chat.
Just talk to me first of all about why you think young boys, teenage boys, young men, why they've gravitated to people like Tate. Because I have.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I think it's, first of all, we got to understand that we have an amazing responsibility as a parent to lead from the home and to have these open conversations with our young children. All right, whether they're male children, female children, we have to make sure that we're having open door conversations and we are tackling the hard subjects. Because if we don't take care of everything at home, we don't take care of everything in public, like at school, and other forces within society that help raise our children, we always say it takes a village. Well, it certainly does, but it starts at home. And if you cannot have these open conversations and allow your children to be honest and open with how they are feeling about society and the things that they are seeing, they are going to.
Yeah, this section should be interesting, but otherwise, I don't know, not really the biggest fan of the rest of this debate. Ultimately, I just wanted to see Andrew Wilson completely annihilate Tomi Lahren, because I think Andrew Wilson and I agree on a lot of political takes, but Tomi Lahren, Candace Owens, some of the other women on the right, not just the women on the left, but some of the women on the right, just so smug, so arrogant, and so misguided, honestly.
A panel of young men on and asked them, when was the last time you cried? Let's watch this.
Oh, this should be interesting.
When was the last time you cried?
Honestly, the last time I cried, I couldn't tell you.
Same with Leo, I can't really remember the last time that I cried fully.
A lot of times I feel emotion and I look at myself, why can't I cry? We're told to suppress our emotions.
I feel like to guys, we may be treated a certain way that evokes an idea that we have to be extremely strong and upfront and here as a man, and I'm going to be composed at all times.
Now, I've got a slight issue with this, Tommy, in the sense that one of the most devastating moments for me as a movie watcher was watching James Bond blubbing in the last Bond movie. Right? I don't think to
Okay, well, it's totally healthy for guys to be taught to control their emotions, especially because we have testosterone. We tend to get more aggressive, more angry, more whatever. And so when dealing with that, it's definitely a lot better to have control than to let it just spurt out into whatever crazy direction it might go. Now, again, the left has a lot of examples of men who just lose their shit. There was the Dean Withers crash out, like what, a couple weeks ago at this point? I'll see if I can find it later because it was a really funny video. But he basically just crashed out because apparently someone thought that his anxiety pen, which I didn't even know was a thing, he was crashing the fuck out because his anxiety pen or whatever, someone thought it was a vape, and he just goes on this whole thing about like it's an anxiety pen, it's not a vape, it's a blah blah blah. And it's like, oh my god, this is literally a 14-year-old girl in high school just going and going and going about nothing. But then you realize that Dean Withers is actually older than I am. He's what, 22, 23? So, anyways, yeah, men are taught to control their emotions. That is objectively a good thing.
prove you're a modern man, you need to be sobbing all the time. You know, I can't remember the last time I cried. It doesn't make me less of a man or less empathetic to people or anything. I just think again, the pendulum issue of what we want men to be. I think we're now trying to persuade a lot of young men, if you're not emoting all the time, then you're being suppressed in some way. We have over here the British stiff upper lip, which I think gets a really bad rap. I think it's not a bad thing to actually not over emote. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah,
it's.
I
Oh, sorry,
agree
sorry,
with
Sean.
you.
I'll come
So,
to you. That was
listen.
for Tommy. I'll come to you in a minute, Sean.
Oh, sorry, Tom.
For Tommy.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all, Piers. I don't think that men should be trained.
Wait, what about controversial topics like this one? I'm confused.
To be overly emotional and that should be a sign now of new maturity, being emotional. I don't agree with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with men crying in certain circumstances. Listen, everybody has a different journey. Everybody has a different set of.
All right, fine. Death of a family member or a friend. Maybe a breakup if you've been together for a couple years or longer. But beyond that, I can't really think of it. And feel free to let me know if I'm wrong in the chat. But other than death of a friend or family member, or yeah, a breakup if you've been together for a couple years, I really can't think of any other reason why you should be crying as a dude, honestly.
Of circumstances. There are circumstances wherein men crying I have no issue with. It's also not up to me to tell a man when he can or cannot cry. I personally prefer the men in my life not to be overly emotional, but that's just a personal preference. Really, who am I to tell a man how he should
Wow, the one time Tomi Lahren and I actually agree on something.
exhibit his emotions? But again, I think that there is two sides here that are both too extreme. You've got the one hand that wants men to be feminine and cry and show their emotion and be weak. And then you've got the other side that says you cannot cry. You must always be strong and you should look at women as an object. So again, there's got to be a happy medium here. I think there once was, but now because of, again, I agree, there was an overreaction of the feminist movement to make men weak.
Yeah, and Tomi Lahren, hate to break this to you, that includes yourself. Like, you can be two sides of the same coin, and I think she's the perfect example of the left's counter, but still within feminism.
I don't agree with that either.
Yeah.
I just wish we could come to a place where there was a happy medium, where people could just be human beings who could have a gender role but weren't married to that gender role in absoluteness. There's got to be a place for that. I would certainly hope.
Yeah. Andrew Wilson, when was the last time you cried?
When I had a death in my family.
And how long ago was that?
There you go. Exactly my point. A death in the family. That was the last time Andrew Wilson cried. that was the last time I died, or that was the last time I cried too, when my dog died. But again, that was a death in the family. My dog was as old as my younger brother. So that's like the one exception. I meant like there are simple answers to this. I feel like some people overthink these things. Yeah, yeah. But it just gets annoying too. You gotta listen to these people whine all the time for what? Like, honestly, I really want to start bringing people on the channel just to have like legitimate debates. And it's not going to be like any of these. I'm going to set you up with gotchas or anything. It's just, I have genuine questions for why some people believe the things that they do. And like, yeah, sure, we can hash it out if it turns aggressive or whatever. But ultimately, it's like, I'm just curious on why people think the way they do because there's certain things like, well, abortion being one, but all sorts of others where it's just I can't really comprehend why someone would have a different opinion and yet half the country does. And instead of vilifying them like a very common tactic of the left, it's like, no, where are you coming from? Even if you're wrong.
If you don't mind me asking.
Many, many, many years. Yeah, many years. I don't know, maybe a decade, something like that.
Right. So you haven't shed a tear in a decade.
I don't think so. No.
Would you see it inherently as a weakness in a man to over emote?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Men, listen. You don't want men to fall to pieces in crisis. You're the head of a family. You're the head of your household, and also you're the heads of nations. You have a moral obligation not to fall to pieces. In fact, I would say you're duty bound not to. You need to be able to control your emotions, and you need to be able to attempt to control them at all times. It's not to say that you're not going to lose control. Nobody's perfect. But I think that the idea of the stoic man is a much better prospect for the idea of like this leftist that I'm arguing with next to me on the panel. I would not want to be that guy, that person who just cannot control their internal emotions. They can't do.
Yeah, right. So it looks like this is going to be a lot of the same. Um, so the couple of you in the chat, do you guys have any recommendations on videos and stuff I should react to? Because I just kind of wanted to see Andrew Wilson annihilate Tomi Lahren, and I think he already did. And yeah. Although, actually, let me see if I can find it really quick. I think Andrew Wilson did a reaction video to the Dean Withers crash out. So I think I might try and find that quick. Um, oops. Yeah, so I'm gonna see if I can pull up the video of Andrew reacting to Dean Withers crashing out over the anxiety pen thing, just because that was something I had mentioned earlier.